Guys, the Sig P365 changed the concealed carry market. Very small pistol, and yet it has a 10-round mag capacity, and you can get extended rounds for it. It has been the most popular concealed carry option on the market, and it has the Sig quality. I love this P365, the XL, the Macro. I mean, there's a number of different handguns that Sig produces for concealed carry. But we're going to go through the recommended way that Sig says to clean and lubricate your Sig P365. Now, there are a lot of ways to do it, and you may have your own method that you've been doing for years. But there may be some tips that you didn't know about and that you can incorporate in the way you do it. Now, we're going to be using one of the Otis 9mm pistol kits, and it comes in this small little package, and very similar to what Otis Defense sends to the U.S. military to use for cleaning their firearms. And we really appreciate Otis for their sponsorship. All right, the P365, it's just absolutely turned the concealed carry market upside down. And we've seen a lot of great guns coming from that. Let's go ahead and break it down, make sure the gun is unloaded, and bring back your slide and put it in slide lock. And then you take your lever, bring it down, and then release your slide lock, and it brings the slide right off. Take our recoil spring and guide rod off, pull out your barrel, and of course then we have just the frame. And this is a removable frame, but it doesn't recommend on the Sig website to disassemble the frame on your regular cleaning and maintenance. And if you want to see how that's done, you can go to the full review of the Sig P365. Of course, this applies also to the XL, to the Macro. There's a number of different Sig models, but it's all the same as far as how they clean them. Now we're going to be using the Otis Technologies little pouch. This is a cleaning kit all in one. I mean, guys, it's tiny. The U.S. military really brought this to light. These were designed for the U.S. military, and they make others to be able for the civilian market as well. And you've got this small little pouch. Open it up. This is for 9mm, it's for 38, 357 Magnum, any of those calibers within that range. You get your shooter's choice, which is a FP10 CLP, which means cleaning, lubrication, and protect. And this is a sister company to Otis. We have cleaning patches here. We have an extra rod, which we'll be using. And then also, it has this small little compartment here that holds a number of different items. And then if you turn it over, it has the brushes and another jag. And then we have our cleaning cable. And this is something that really turned Otis into a huge success because this is a great way to clean. I mean, the bore snakes, or what they call the ripcord, that's what really brought them to light. And so I love these. I've been using them for years. This particular one, though, has a coating over the cable. And so it's going to protect your bore. And then it has two brass ends that are adapters. All right, then here we have a chamber flag, which also doubles as being able to illuminate your bore. And then we have a small handle, and we have a brush. Cotton swabs and some kind of cloth, and this is just an absorbent cloth that really helps protect the metal, and then also a nylon brush. But we're going to be using this nylon brush, and I'll show you how that works. Now we're going to be following the Sig recommendations right from the manual to tell you exactly how they recommend cleaning the Sig P365. And one of the recommendations is after 500 rounds of shooting, you should always clean your pistol. Now the first thing that Sig recommends is your slide. We're going to check it out. First thing we're going to do is take our nylon brush and put it to the adapter for a little handle. And we're going to look for any kind of existing lubrication. And we need to remove it first before we reapply. But also take your soft brush and just kind of clean out the different channels, the area. You're going to make sure that your striker area is clean. Now one thing that it states, and it's right up front, is that this area right here around your striker and your striker safety is do not lubricate. And so we're going to just keep that clean, and we're going to just keep it dry clean. And then the breech face right here, we want to clean it. This is where your firing pin or your striker comes out to ignite your round, making sure that's clean. Also, right here at the ejector and extractor. So the extractor, we want to get those teeth underneath. Any kind of buildup that's going to keep this from pulling that cartridge, spent cartridge, out. Top of the slide, we just want to hit that. And the rails that are inside. Your slide rails need to be cleaned. Just make sure that they're good and free of any debris. So really just get the interior nice and clean, make sure it's good to go. Then we're going to take the interior slide rails. We just want to give it a light coat of oil, and this is going to go right against the frame rails. So you want to make sure that stays working very well. And it is a light coat. Next, we're going to take a patch and we're going to put a little bit of CLP on it, and it says to lubricate all exterior surfaces, which makes a big difference. This thing was pretty dry, to be honest with you. And that matte finish on here, the satin finish, it's going to just soak this in. And this just helps protect the surface and, you know, keeps it just free of corrosion, any kind of rust or anything else that could form, even though the Sig finish is pretty good. And guys, that is the recommendations from Sig for cleaning and lubricating your slide. Now to clean the barrel, we're going to take our patch holder and we're going to add it to our ripcord. And we're going to add our handle, which actually goes to the ripcord, just like that, and it pulls up and it holds it. And when you're taking your patch, you want to, now when you're taking your patch, put it through one of the slots, just like this, pinch it, and then bring it back through the slot. And this is going to give you a lot of surface around the patch, and it's going to help you to really be able to get this clean. Next, we're going to take our CLP, and it says put a general amount. In fact, it says soak it. And then through the breach, go ahead and run that patch through. And then pull it back through. And you're going to want to let this set for just several minutes. And while we're waiting, we want to put on just a little bit of CLP onto the barrel. And this is just going to give it some lubrication, and then we're just going to wipe it on. And that includes the barrel hood and this whole area right here, your lugs. Just get a little bit of CLP on there and coat it. Sig recommends to take your patch with more CLP and run it back through your bore. Just repeat step 1. Now we have a clean patch attached, and now we're going to just start cleaning this out. And you want to go from the chamber out the bore. You want to make sure too that you get a lot of that out of the chamber. And you want to take another clean patch and you just want to get this dry. And so we're going to put it through until this turns just clean. When it doesn't have any more residue on it, then you're good to go. Now it says with a little bit of CLP on the feed ramp. You want to take your brush, you want to just get that clean. This area up here. Just go ahead and clean it up nice. Get all that debris off of it. Your feed ramp is where your bullets are going to impact to go into the chamber, so you want to make sure that is free of debris. Next, we're just going to take a patch and we're just going to kind of wipe that off. Again, don't get any in your chamber. Now, according to Sig, if you're going to put this up for storage, you should put a light coat of oil into the bore and into the chamber just to keep it protected. But before you fire it again, you need to clean that out. Now your recoil spring assembly, it's 2 springs, it's captive, you do not disassemble this, but you do replace it every 2,500 rounds according to the Sig recommendations. So first thing we want to do is we're going to brush it, give it a good cleaning. Any kind of debris that comes when firing the gun, and it will build up around your recoil spring. And then just apply a light coat of oil. I love this applicator on the end of the CLP. This can get those exact spots that you want to. You're really lubricating the spring more than anything, and so what I like to do is just kind of wipe it down. And you can do that with a patch, or you can do it with your fingers. And that's it. Now with the grip frame, it says first thing you do is just wipe it down. Wipe down any of your areas that may have some debris, just with a cloth, clean cloth, no lubrication. And you can also take care of the outside with the polymer. Around your trigger guard is one area that gets a lot of lint and dust if you're not careful when you're concealed carrying a lot. Inside the magazine well, and I like to take a brush and just push that rag all the way through and then just pull it out. You got to be careful that there aren't any kind of mechanisms in here to catch. You want to get all of this area toward the back. Just give it a good wipe down. Get inside those frame rails. Now it says to use cotton swabs to get those areas that are kind of tight, and that would definitely be your frame rails. Right here around the hammer, and those areas that just the cloth doesn't quite get to. And these are dry, there's no lubrication on them. Any area that's tough to get to, just go in there and clean it up. You can see, I mean, it doesn't take long to build up. But the nature of firing a firearm already, you know, you're getting a lot of debris, you're getting smoke, you're getting lead, and you're just getting carbon buildup. So you want to make sure that you just keep that clean as possible. And I would keep doing that until there's no carbon or no debris, making sure that you're good to go. If you're going to take the time to break it down, you might as well do it right. Next, you want to lubricate the rails with a light coat of oil. Just hit those high spots. This is where it's going to meet with the slide rails. And they say to apply CLP to moving parts. So right here at the hammer, even my slide stop. There's not really a lot of moving parts on the Sig. Just give it a light coat of oil. A little goes a long way. And that's it with the frame. Next, we're going to disassemble the magazine, clean it. Right here is just a little detent. You push down, hold your finger over that spring. It is under spring tension. And here you see the magazine retainer plate. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull it off. And it fits down into the plate. So you just want to make sure that you return it in the same configuration. And then here's our follower. Again, there is some resistance, so it just kind of clips in. First, wipe down the tube, magazine tube with a cloth. Get any kind of debris off of it. One thing that's not necessarily recommended in the Sig guidelines is to look for any kind of damages. And that's one thing that's very important. Check out the feed ramps, things like that. But that's just bonus material. Just want to make sure it's good and clean. And then we're going to clean out and just put our cloth into the mag body. And we're going to just run it through using one of these brushes. That gets it started. Then we can just pull it through. And that gets a lot out of there. Obviously, you want to wipe down your magazine spring, get it all in good shape. You'll notice that the spring gets larger at the bottom and it's thinner at the top. Of course, your follower, you want to get it all cleaned up. Also, inspect it. Your retainer plate and even your base plate. Now, according to Sig instructions, it says to clean the inside of your magazine tube with a soft brush and a little bit of CLP. Personally, I like to use dry lube, but we're doing this the way Sig says it, so we're just going to do it. But I am not a big fan of putting lube in my magazines. Just go in and get it good and clean. These soft brushes are excellent. Right there at the lip where it fits to the base plate. Then it says to take CLP and put it on your magazine spring, just a light coat. So we're just going to kind of dab it on here and then we'll just rub it in. Then just rub your spring. It's going to give it a little bit of lubrication. One thing about the Sig P365 typically is you're not shooting a whole lot of rounds through it as far as in a self-defense situation or anything like that. And so it's probably not going to be quite as critical take CLP and just rub on the outside body of the magazine, which I would highly recommend anyway. Even if you're using dry lube on the spring, putting the CLP on the magazine really makes a big difference. And it gives it, just protects it, cleans it. All right, that's all we need to do with the magazine except reassembly. So first thing we're going to do is put on our base plate. So you want the angle going up at the top, and so we're going to take this and we're going to snap it back into place on the base. And then we're going to take our magazine follower, snap it in. You want it to have some retention on both sides. Slide it into the magazine. One thing you'll notice about the retaining plate is it only goes in one way, just like that. And when putting your base plate on, there's two grooves right here that fit into the rails. And so you make sure that you capture those rails with your base pad. Give it, there you go. Make sure it's solid. You want to try it, because one thing about it, if your magazine base plate comes off, the spring comes out and the gun just will not function. Well guys, that is SIG's official recommendation, just going down the list. And now we're going to just reassemble. The only thing that I would disagree with is adding CLP inside the interior of the magazine. I'm a big fan of putting dry lube, but I've done that for years and it's worked fine. That's SIG recommendations, and that's what we're doing. Okay, let's reassemble. We're going to take our slide, drop in our barrel, take our recoil spring and guide rod, give it some tension to put on that barrel lug right there. Lock in, and you're good to go. It'll lock itself. Did I do that on camera? I don't know. Before we return your slide to your frame, one thing you'll notice is when we bring down our takedown lever, it doesn't always go down into the right position. Take your slide stop, lift it up, and then just bring it into the correct position. And then we take our slide and we put it right over the top. As soon as we engage our slide stop, the takedown lever will pop into place. And now we're back in business. One thing you definitely want to do is function check, making sure that everything is working. Now your chamber flag, if you hook it inside and you look down the barrel, you can see it really lights up. It attracts the light, and so it's almost like a fiber optic rod. And so this allows you to inspect the inside of the barrel and really have a good look at it. Now you always should think about safety glasses, having nitrile gloves. A lot of guys like to clean their guns that way. I'm just not a fan, but I do have the lead cleaning hand wipes from Otis that I also use after I do cleaning, because I mean there is a lot of lead buildup and different things. These things just help to keep you free from lead. You got a little gun, you have a little kit, you're ready to go. So guys, again, the recommended way that SIG says to keep your P365 clean, which is very important, especially if you're concealed carrying. The dust, the lint, different things, dirt can get into these firearms, and it's very important to keep them maintained. And again, a big thanks to Otis Technologies for making this easier. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. We've got everything laid out. Oh, did I get the slide rails? And then it has a couple of adapters, and I've got this on there, and I got to start this all over again. What the freaking heck? What the freaking heck? Well, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. That's why I do it so many times. So first thing we're going to start out, okay, so we're using, oh well, I didn't want to do that, did I? Now we're going to be using one of the Otis 9mm pistol kits. Go ahead and put it onto the extensor to make this a handle extensor. It's an extensor. I think it's better with a dry lube. Okay. I said all that, and I got this thing going. I'm not even talking, I'm just doing. Just doing. Like some kind of know-it-all. I'm such a big know-it-all. This just helps to keep things good. Okay, these just help to keep you, these just think, with this tiny pistol carrying 10 rounds, and you can get extended rounds, very tiny, small, okay. Very tiny, small, very small, tiny.